Welcome back. The Indian Army has concluded its 10-day military exercises with African nations at the Armed Military Station and College of Military Engineering in Pune. 16 African nations took part in the joint military exercise, including South Africa, Sudan, Uganda, Niger, Ghana and Zimbabwe. The joint exercise, named India-Africa Field Training, is conducted with an aim to synergize United Nations peacekeeping operations.
These troops from Africa and India are showing off the skills they learned after a 10-day joint field training exercise on the outskirts of the Indian city of Pune. Soldiers were trained in synchronized operational level planning and tactical level training. Amongst the drills, how to establish military observers in troubled areas, completing a mission without hurting civilians, and different methods to determine and handle improvised explosive devices.
Because IEDs are not new things, it's instruments that have been used in war, but now they have overtaken the use of normal mines that are used by armies. Therefore, it is important for countries to work together in understanding the content and the way to prevent the use of these kind of mines.
At Wednesday's closing ceremony, Indian Army Chief General Bipin Rawat handed out medals to participants. 16 African nations took part, including South Africa, Sudan, Uganda, Niger, Ghana and Zimbabwe.
Nigeria's former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, says he maintains that Morocco's membership in the African Union is positive. He was speaking with Channels Television on the sidelines of the SADC Solidarity Conference with the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic in South Africa, where the SADC regional bloc hoped to negotiate the start of a lasting solution to the agitation for self-determination in the North African country.
I maintain that Morocco inside the AU is a positive aspect that should be explored and take great advantage of. I even went further to say we should now have constructive and positive engagement within the UN, and the UN Secretary General has appointed the former president of Germany, President Koehler, as his personal envoy. And then the AU has also taken a decision at their meeting in Nouakchott, middle of last year, that the Trauca of AU, that is the immediate past chairman of AU, the current chairman and the incoming chairman, which form the Trauca, should do something. And I believe that they can work with the personal envoy of the Secretary General and take it bit by bit. And President Koehler is already making some move, and very, very interesting move to get the two sides together. And the resolution that was passed last year is also a very good resolution, 1814. And I think I will not rule out that something positive will come out.
A survey in the Democratic Republic of Congo suggests a quarter of people in the cities worst affected by the current Ebola outbreak, that's Beni and Butembo, do not actually believe the virus exists. Ebola has infected more than 1,000 people in the east of the country since July and killed more than 600. But health workers say many people refuse vaccines, resist treatment and hide symptoms. The authors of the study, published in the Lancet Infectious Disease Journal, says trust in public authorities is very low due to decades of conflict and poor governance, and is a factor in prolonging the outbreak. The worst epidemic of Ebola killed more than 11,000 people in West Africa from 2013 to 2016. And as part of efforts in curbing the disease, the World Health Organization is creating awareness in schools and communities. The program is providing Ebola protection education in areas that are affected by the current outbreak.
A World Health Organization initiative is providing Ebola protection education in schools in areas that are affected by the current outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Ghislaine Kahindo Katungo from the Risk Communication and Community Engaged team at WHO is working with school children. She's originally from Beni, a town where she went to school as a little girl, before the area was affected by the current Ebola outbreak in the DRC. Katungo arrives at the schools early in the morning carrying a megaphone. She begins by asking the students what they know about Ebola and how they can protect themselves from it, before clarifying and explaining the signs and symptoms and how the students can protect themselves. The most important part is the Q&A sessions, where students can ask out all the questions they have about Ebola.
I noticed that many children don't fully understand the Ebola virus. One student asked me, why do we have to wash only our hands, not the whole body? And this is why I decided to go from school to school to raise children's awareness about the disease.
She works closely with school directors like Galuheni Kahindo, who appreciate how important it is to reach out to students.
We have children who are the messengers to their parents. Children are also curious. They question everything. This is why I think that this message comes at a very important time.
WHO and partners have already visited more than 100 schools in Beni. The initiative started on August 10, 2019. 10 days after the beginning of the outbreak. So far, more than 10,000 students were reached.
Now, traditional fishermen living along Nigeria's Lake Gera say fish stocks in the region are getting depleted, threatening their livelihoods as the lake's water recedes. Environmentalists say siltation is polluting the river caused by human encroachment and dumping of waste in the lake.
Today, Mahmoud is amongst hundreds of fishermen in Demere, a village in Yola City, northeastern Nigeria, whose trade and livelihood is under threat because of siltation. Over the years, silt has been building up in Lake Gera, affecting marine life and limiting the catch of fishermen here.
We are just managing now. We come to the river every day and fish. We sell the little fish we are able to catch and use the money to buy food for our families, buy soup for our children. It is also through this that we buy clothes for our family, mostly during Sallah celebrations. Sometimes we make sure our families are satisfied, even if we don't buy anything for ourselves.
Siltation is caused by dumping of waste or soil erosion, which makes the waters in rivers and lakes recede. Here in Yola City, fishing provides employment for people in the community and is also an important source of food for residents. But according to local authorities, it's not just fishing that has been affected. Trade and transport between cities around the lake have also been affected, as boats no longer easily access the waters because of siltation. Siltation in Lake Gera got worse in 2012 after Africa's third longest river, the River Niger, burst its banks, causing floods that killed 140 people and leaving tens of thousands of hectares of farmland submerged. At least 7 million people work in fishing and fish farming across West and Central Africa, according to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO.
Well, that's it on the program today. Thanks for watching. I'm Teniola Shubawale.